still probably plenty of questions. Do you think that these aliens that you've been involved with are aware of why they exist?
Are aware of why they exist?
Yeah.
Well, they have detailed records of their history. Their history goes back for at least a few 100,000 years, is my understanding. And they apparently used to be more like us, and they kind of got the way they are now by genetic engineering and exposure to radiation and overuse of technologies like transporters that can damage DNA over time if it's not done correctly. And in general, I think that can be true. Dr. Leir thought that the gray is the end point of what a humanoid species will get to look like after many thousands of years of using high technology.
What like Val and Sandy were mentioning is this testing this new you song. If a person is looking for real guidance and a real education and for connecting with what we call universal guides and their protection from like the aliens not have to be bothered by them. It's something that I'm testing, this new you song to see the effects, but a person has to be sincere about it. He's really wanting to know why he's experiencing the things he's experiencing. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm pretty much okay with it at this point in my life, and I've got a certain amount of status with them, and I'm kind of scared of getting on their bad side. So I'd be very interested to hear what other people's experiences are with doing that. But as far as any kind of resistance to them and everything, I don't think I'm interested.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody else have any questions for Steve?
Claudia, you're going to talk about the Syrians some more?
Yes, I wasn't sure if there was time, but yes, I would like to talk a little bit about the Syrians from the constellation of Sirius, the Dog Star, and that the Dogon tribe in South Africa have had constant communication with the beings in that constellation. They've had it for as long as the Dogon tribes have been in existence. It's been a part of their culture. One thing about the Syrians, they are more in touch with their planet than we are. They go back to the days when we used to be in touch with the planet, but not so much. Now we're technocrats. We want to know what the latest, fastest, smartest, biggest technological discovery can bring us. The Syrians are more quiet and peaceful, and when they need food, as an example, they ask the planet, I need some coconuts. And the planet will tell them where to go to find the coconuts. It's an interactive communication. If they need some bananas, just as an example, it'll tell them where the right bananas are. And they are just as easily in communication with each other as if one Syrian has a thought, it can be sent out to the entire population. So there are beings out there of different capabilities. These Syrians have very long lifetimes, and so they are aware of what changes happens on our planets, and to them it's minutes, but for us it's thousands of years.
The Greys have long lifespans too, like 400 or 500 years. How long do the Syrians usually live?
Thousands
Wow.
of years. They have a collective memory that goes back to when their planet was formed, and they can speak to each other. That's why I was wondering how your communication with the Greys, they don't have vocal cords. Neither do the Syrians.
No.
They do not have vocal cords. They can
Yeah,
make
they've had strong telepathy for so long that they haven't needed vocal cords, and they've either atrophied or they've just needed them deliberately through genetic engineering.
Exactly. They're like I say, they're very much in touch with their planet. They know what's going on everywhere on it that they are. So it's the most interesting experience, and I was wondering if your Greys had vocal cords, but if they do not, then everything is done through mental telepathy. And
right.
Humans are easily, I guess you could say, mesmerized.
Very easily. I think that's part of the reason they come here rather than someplace else, because humans are very easily controlled that way.
Yes, exactly. The other thing is that the Orions that are the species that the Syrians were at war with, it was a 20,000-year war. It lasted that long because the Orions wanted the Syrians as slaves and also a food source. They consider humans a food source. They used to not be millions of years ago. They did not need human protein, but during a war when there were shortages, human protein became a viable substitute. So a lot of people disappear off this planet, and it's not because they were abducted and then just a few people were taken, but more have been abducted and used as slaves.
Yeah, I don't talk about it much, but there's definitely people that just disappear. I call them class 0 abductees, that they're either taken off planet or they're broken up for blood and organs, and or they're just eaten by reptilians or other species.
Exactly. And have you had
that damn well would cause a panic if it got out to where people would believe it. So I don't talk about it that much.
Well, right now, if we talk about it in this kind of setting that's not non-threatening, maybe a preparation can be made for people. And I know, they look at you and say, "Oh, you're crazy," or this, that, and the other. And I said, but it could happen. And if it did, how would you react? You prepare your public for other ideas, and you're
well,
very.
I don't know what the Orions do, but I know the Greys. If they're going to harvest somebody, they pick somebody that they consider pretty much useless, that nobody will miss.
Yes, the homeless.
Street people, or people that are cutting down the rainforest, just people like that are causing harm or that nobody will miss.
Yes, nobody, and usually during a hurricane or some kind of catastrophe, a lot of people, quote unquote, disappear. And
they collect bodies after catastrophes too. Those bodies are worth a lot of the equivalent of money to them.
Yes.
Like they did, they use artificial wombs to grow other Greys and hybrids, and those require large quantities of blood and like organs, like livers and stuff like that, to purify it. And that's part of the reason they do the cattle mutilations. They need all that stuff. There's a lot of blood in a cow, for example, and it's very similar to human blood.
Yes, and can be easily transported and used for their purposes. You are a very brave man. May I congratulate you on your courage to come forward and to offer viewpoints to the public. It's to alert them and to wake them up. And that's one of the things that the new presentation people have been doing, is trying to wake up persons to the idea that you are not just a 9-to-5er. You have other life abilities that you can access to bring yourself up into full conscious awareness of what's going on. A lot of people don't want to know.
I used to be a 9-to-5er, but since my divorce, I haven't been able to get back into industry, and my career as a chemist is probably over unless I can be my own boss at some point. So I figure I might as well go out and tell people what I know at this point. So
excellent use of your time and possibly helping save our planet. it's in dire need of a lot of help from a lot of people. And the more that speak up, the better it is. And thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Do you see the aliens as using our emotions to get energy from that way, like the football games and all the Olympics and all these things, movies and?
Yeah, I think some of them might. In general, I think the answer to that's no, but I think there might be a few that do. I'm not sure about the details on that, though.
If I may offer a little bit of an insight, there's a movie called Monster Inc. It's one of those animated films for children, and it shows how the monsters go at night and scare the children and collect their screams and use the energy on the planet. And I thought that was the best description of how it's happening. Well, they do the same thing for the adults at football games or wars where people have intense fighting. They collect a lot of the emotional discharge from death and dying.
Yeah, they harvest life energy from some people, and I don't know if that's the same as emotions, but yeah, they do harvest energy from people. But as far as if they really need that to survive or whatever, I don't think they do. But I think it's kind of like a drug to some of them.
Yes, exactly. There have been many motion pictures showing that. There was one called They Live, starring a wrestling star, and it showed how he became aware of reptilians on the planet and aliens.
Right.
What they were
whatever they were, those things were. Those are really ugly. Reptilians are quite attractive compared to whatever those aliens were.
Those were pretty awful. But and the reason that the most that I have found, I've been at this for like 40 or 50 years, and what has come about, I always wanted to know how do we counter, what can be used, and that's when I came into the New You presentation group and started singing that song, New You, and it got out of being abducted. There was a point in time where it just became a yearly thing, and I was tired of it, and I said I want it to stop, and came into this and sang the song, and they disappeared, and I thought, oh, that's pretty good. I'll keep up with that for a while. Anyway, thank you.
If they don't need you that bad in the program, then if you sometimes they'll let you go if you ask, and I know that's true. But I've never heard of a case though where they seem to need the person real bad where they let them go though. But maybe that's the secret, key to getting the Council of Five involved in your case or something. I don't know. It'd have to be getting some powerful external agency involved in order for them to let you go though. I think if they really want you.
So my question has to do with, rebounding off of what you two are saying, is are there aliens out there or in here somewhere who are not dealing with us in that particular way where they need to harvest us or use us as guinea pigs, but they're aliens that they are working with us? Yeah?
Yeah, I think there are. There's like the Pleiadians and some other groups of human-looking aliens that it would be difficult to part from a human if you walked down the street and saw one. And I don't think they abduct humans, and I think they're more friendly or less hostile, if you want to call it that. But they also are a lot more hands-off.
So they may have a different role. We may have a different role to play with them that we may not be aware of at this point, or most of us are not aware of.
I've heard that the original inhabitants of Mars were one of those groups, or a splinter group of one of those aliens.
And I'm wondering how they feel about the other aliens, the ones that do it. this kind of thing?
Mars definitely has life on it. By the way, basically the ground-based astronomers were that's one thing I'm really into. Basically, the ground-based astronomers were right about Mars back in the 50s and 60s. There's vegetation. There's some animal life, and there's remnants of a past civilization, shapes and pictures in the ground. The canals are real, and there's structures of various kinds, pyramids, and there probably are still people there living underground, but the population density is low, and so.
Yeah, and I wonder how much our, creating like movies or pictures or stories of what could be or what, fairy tales, whatever we create, I wonder how much that influences our interaction and the outcome of what we're doing with these beings. Is there a possibility that also plays into this?
Well, the movies, I think, are to get people used to the idea of interacting with aliens, and I think that there's been a lot of talk about Mars for a long time, and probably to get people used to the idea that it had a civilization there once, and there's still some people there, and that it's a huge deal to say that there's life of any kind on the planet right next door. That makes the whole UFO thing very much more likely in the public mind, and if they said the entire truth about Mars, I think it would really upset the whole order down here. But I mean, it's pretty. When you go through the NASA data, it's pretty obvious that the ground-based astronomers were right. NASA comes up with some real whoppers to explain away some of this stuff, saying there's no liquid water on Mars, when it's pretty obvious when you look at it that a great deal of the surfaces that the first two rovers traversed were mud. I mean, I know mud when I see it. Most people do. But it's amazing that people believe this crap that they put out. You know what NASA stands for, right? Never a straight answer.
Oh, I can believe that. Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I heard. I went there for a brief period of time, and there was a problem with the on Wednesdays they did something that caused me to get huge gigantic migraine headaches. Something they were doing, and I just wasn't supposed to be there very long. Yeah, there was a lot going on. And people were, like, woo. You've got the idealistic people who are working with the
I hate to cut this short, but somebody just came over that I've got to deal with right now. So I'd like to be on at some point in the near future if you want.
I'd love it. Great. How about everybody else?
Yeah, thanks for coming on and discussing with people your experiences and information. So we'll get in touch and see if we can't have some more discussion about shape-shifting and other things. Okay, thanks.
All right.
Great discussion.
Nice to talk to you guys.
Discussion. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. I liked it too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Yeah,
bye.
We'll see you. Well, there's lots of people, it seems like, becoming aware of other beings besides us Earthlings, or who knows if we're talking to a person that isn't an Earthling, and because of shape-shifting and things like that. So you have to just wonder. You don't know whether I'm possibly a shape-shifting being and just observing. So it's just what's important about these experiences that we're here for, why we came into this physical realm, and this opportunity for those that are ready, not have to continue to come back into a human farming prison planet where there's polluted air, polluted water, polluted food, wars, starvation, diseases. It just goes on and on. If you want to come back to this worse than ever, then don't pay attention. It's almost like a warning, if anybody's listening, that they can find out for themselves by testing the new you song. Like 15 minutes before sleep, 15 minutes when you wake up. And if you're sincere and want real guidance and a real education, a connection to real guides like Yabal Sakabi and Rami Nuri and Toby Kwans and Gopal Das, IC, Katadaki, and Rebazar Tars, Paul Twitchell, Shamasi Tabriz, and here we have on Earth Dwayne, the great writer, and Ava, shown that are offering this opportunity to get involved and earn our way out of this physical psych realm stuff so we don't have to keep reincarnating into worse and worse lives on this polluted, poisoned Earth. So I'll end this discussion because our time's up for today on Blog Talk Radio with the new you song. Anybody can join in that wants to. New you. Good talking to everybody. Thanks for coming. Maybe next Wednesday we have a get together with a primary waterman on Earth. So thanks for being involved. We'll see ya.